fit for a profession, then Islam would allow men to do that. Otherwise, certain jobs are only for women and certain jobs are only for men. But generally, they both can do most of the things. Now, in Islam, the women become, or the girls become adult earlier than boys. Emotionally, Islam sees that women are more able. The girls have more abilities and emotionally they are stronger and they understand things and responsibilities earlier than boys do. They become more mature they become mature or maturer earlier than the boys. For example, it is 15, the boys become fully mature to perform everything with an obligation, and the girls at the age of 9 and onwards, they can perform their prayers and fastings, and they become mature. So they become mature earlier, and they age, for example, they become adults at an earlier stage than boys. And the Islamic explanation on that is that they are more physically and they become, the medical changes and the physical changes in the girls happen earlier than boys. And the other thing is the emotional understanding of the girls. It is earlier than that of the boys. So the girls become mature earlier. Now, the Holy Quran, when talking about certain things, there are issues that the Muslim scholars have discussed. One of them is of the judiciary, that they can become qualified scholars, but they cannot become religious leaders in the prayers and as judges, for religious affairs. One, Islam does not have, the prayers in Islam are not like that of, for example, in the Christian, the way they will stand up and do the prayer. In Islam, it is a physical thing. You would stand and you bow down and you go into prostration. The physique of women does not allow that for women to stand in front of men and perform that. Even when they're praying together, they must either stand side by side with distance or stand behind. So the men do not look at their physique, because it is a physical prayer, not just a verbal prayer in Islam. Because of the physique of the women, they cannot stand in front of men. So that's why Islam does not allow women to stand in front of men and the men stand behind her. The only place where men and women are allowed to stand side by side and pray is in the house of Allah, and nowhere else. Only then they can come together and pray together, or they can perform the rituals together. In all other places there should be some sort of a distance between men and women to perform religious rituals because of the physique. And not only that, but it's also an emotional thing that Islam believes that there should be in religious affairs there should be segregation where men and women do not think of each other, but they think of only God, and they come out of because most of our sins are connected to our desires and our lust. In some traditions, not only just 50%, but even up to 70%. But some traditions say at least 50% of the sins that we men and women do are connected to the lust and our desires, sexual desires. But many traditions say no, even higher than that. So therefore, Islam believes in segregation in the religious institutions, where men and women should, when praying and when performing acts of worship, they should be separate from each other. So they're not all are like that, but there are many who do not. They're not so religious and they're not so practicing, and they may ignore, the attendance to God. They will not reach to God, but they will reach to and pay attention to the people around them. So these are general rules that I've given you an outline of. I had something else in mind how I wanted to enter this whole argument, but things happen that make you go into certain other things. I have said only 10 minutes, and I probably another 5 minutes. Thank you for telling me that. Just the last 5 minutes, and before I take any questions. The institution in the society is the family, and the family nucleus is basically around the mother or the wife. Islam does not discourage women from being career oriented, but family is highly emphasized to be taken care of, and Islam highly encourages that women, if they have family, then that comes to priority for both men and women. So the family is basically, Islam says that a person, a man or a woman, both, especially for men, I think, The Holy Prophet says that the best of you are the ones who are the best for their families. So the best person, is the one who has the best conduct at home. Not that you're the best on the best behavior outside, and as soon as you get home, the real you comes out, and you become very difficult to deal with. Islam says no, you have to be the best with your family. That's what the emphasis has been laid on. And even in the present day psychology, they also argue that you should not take it out on your family. What you face outside, for example, my boss tells me off and I go home and then take it out on my wife or children. So the wife tells the older child off, and the older child hits the younger one, and the younger one just breaks a toy to show his or her anger or aggression. If one of them had actually stopped, then this wouldn't have gone on. So Islam basically says that the best of you are the ones who are best with their family. So the family is the nucleus of the society. Islam has come for social justice and social reform. And the social reform and the social justice does not become what it becomes without the help of a family. And the family itself runs around a mother. Therefore, the mother must give the best training, and the wife. There are 3 roles. There are many roles of women, but there are major 3 or 4 roles that a woman has to play: as a daughter, as a wife, as a sister, as a mother. Not so much as a sister, but 3 roles are very important. And the peak of a woman's relationship is with her husband, and therefore she, being the other half, the English use the other half or half of her husband's faith is a woman. The husband, likewise, the man also, but we're not talking about men. They will have these 3 roles or other roles. But these are the 3 major roles that a woman has to play in society. And the best example in history that we see is of Mary, Maryam in the Holy Quran, and Fatima salam alayha. These are the 2 best examples that the Holy Quran says as daughters, as mothers. But Maryam, peace be upon her, salam alayha, because she is, according to Islamic history, did not got therefore that ascension of the human characteristics was missing in her life, and therefore Fatima had to come in and live up to be the best wife, to live as an example for all women that how a best wife would be for her husband. She also proved to be the best daughter for the Holy Prophet and the best mother for her 2 sons. Her brothers had died, so therefore she had to train another person called Zainab, so she could live up to be the best sister for her brothers. These are all the different examples in society, and the role of women is more important, and probably it's a major role than what we anticipate and what we realize. This English saying that behind every successful man there is a woman has been probably also taken from some of the other teachings, but I find similar words that great scholars could not prove to be who they were until and unless they had the training from their mother, they had the contribution for their life, and without they wouldn't have been what they have become. So that is the stance of Islam on the whole